Executive session.
We have a motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So I'll go ahead and just make the motion that we deny this salary approval form at this time. We have a motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Let's go ahead and the memorandum.
Today, we have the amended memorandum from ISU with the payee clause as requested by legal counsel. And so, Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the MOU with ISU, or the termination of the MOU agreement presented by ISU.
Okay. John, do you have comments?
After reviewing this, I've decided, because it references things that occurred before I was even elected, that I'm going to abstain from this vote, even though I am supportive of the money being sent back as you guys are using this mechanism to do it. But I don't feel like I can vote on this.
Okay. So we do have a motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
So we'll send the monies back.
Do you want me to use that as an invoice too?
Yes, please.
With that being said, there you go. I'll go to another meeting.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Which one?
All of the lots.
Let's see, looks like we are at Charity.
Good morning, Commissioners. Charity Staggs, Southeast Idaho Council of Governments, here with an update and a proposal on the BLM Good Neighbor Authority grant. The update is the project manager pulled out. I met with BLM staff to kind of brainstorm ideas on how to move forward. And the quickest, easiest way that I've come up with and am proposing to you today is that between BLM staff and we can just take care of those tasks that the project manager was going to do. In order to do that, I need to increase my costs from 15 to 30K. And then we need to adjust the budget a little bit. So I included what those adjustments would look like. So more money would actually be going into the actual brush removal, but some of the indirect costs would be decreased just because we would be down a contractor. I did talk with BLM also if that required an MOU. They said no because the change is so small. And then to clarify, the amount of the grant would not be changing, just what would be done with it with that proposal.
So what were we paying the
42K.
okay, so it ends up being a savings of about 30 or 25,000-ish.
Yep.
Okay, that then can go into expanding the project, some of that? Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I put that into the contractor for actually removing the brush.
Right.
And then I took a little bit, put a little bit into administration.
Okay, and BLM was okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you have any questions, John?
Nope.
Okay. I would move that we approve the changes to the BLM Good Neighbor Authority grant as presented and discussed. We have a motion. All in favor say aye.
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 Beautiful.
When will that start?
So I submitted a contract in the packet, just in case you want to take care of that today. I have a signed copy from my executive director here, but if you'd like me to submit that on a different agenda, I can do that too.
No,
and then I can get started.
I think that's what we're signing, so.
Okay.
You're,
Do you want this copy?
yeah.
I'll just leave it with you.
Is that different than what's in the packet, Christie? Well, this is for the grant administration.
Yeah, the one that's not with the signature. Yeah. So if you'd like to compare the two, I'm happy to just leave that there
Yeah,
here,
why
and
don't
then
you-
you can
why don't
handle
you-
it however you would like to handle
Yeah,
it.
we'll set this aside and take care of this on Tuesday.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Charity. Kyle?
Kyle Permister, Public Works Director. I bring Buddy Romero and Jason Murdoch, our shop manager with me today. I don't know, I think some of you have met met Jason. But just to kind of introduce him to you guys, he's been doing a lot of new things and working good in the shop and trying out some stuff, and I wanted them to kind of say some of the things that we are doing in the shop and the fleet, and let them have a little time doing that. But for Road and Bridge, where we're at right now is we finished up all the guardrail, but he had a lot of work with getting them lined out and herding cats, but we got it done. We finished hauling our salt sand, and then hauled, as soon as we got done with that, we hauled in our rock for the Downey Fair ground building. And
Thank you.
just doing stuff like trimming trees right now, our personnel, potholes, stuff like that. We've got a culvert project we're doing out on Ford Road. We're getting to the completion part of our OpenGov asset management. The last 2 days, we've been doing the last trainings, user trainings, and go live. So we're getting really close with that. And then this last week, we went down to check on our plow trucks that just seem to never get here. So we all went down, made sure that they were where they were at and in what process they were at, that they were there, and kind of get our eyes on them and keep trying to push as hard as we can. It's looking like one dump truck in the next week and one in the middle of next month. So hopefully them get here sooner than later. We've been lucky and not had the snow, so that's helping. But
A couple questions for you. How many miles of paving did you get done this last year?
paving, we did like 5 miles. I
5
think is what it
miles.
was, close
What
to
do you
something.
do on a typical year? Is that about the same?
Some years we do more. It depends on where we're at with the roads. We're, like, for next year, we've been working it out to where we're gonna do more miles of chipping. This year we did 31 miles, I think, and next year we're doing 45 of chipping. And I think we're looking at it, can't remember what we were deciding on, there's up to 5 miles of paving next year.
And when you pave, are you scraping all the way down like a layer and then putting new, or are you just adding on top?
We're just overlaying.
Okay,
We're just overlaying what's there.
okay.
We don't have the equipment to mill it down and all that stuff, so.
A lot of ours have, when they went from a wagon trail to then gravel and to all this, that when we paved it, you're only paving like 2.5 inches, 3 inches. So a lot of our roads, it doesn't hurt to give that added layer to that mat. So we don't have any manholes and curbs and stuff, so we don't actually have to grind it to get it back to that exact level, so we add a layer.
Okay.
So it's just an overlay.
Okay. And then, on the road vacation project, how we coming on with that?
And that's gonna be, I think, in the middle of next month, that are you talking garden?
I'm just talking, no,
Oh,
all
sorry.
the road vacations we've talked about throughout the county that we have that we don't really want to have anymore.
Oh, we have 2 that are started the process, for a couple roads down south. Trying to get them, there's not a lot of them out there that's gonna want to do it. But there is a couple that don't make any sense for us to be maintaining it, and they started the process, but they're just kind of sitting there.
Okay.
One of the parts to that is they have to survey it all, and so that's the cost involved, and they get to kind of that point, and then they're
They slow down.
slow down.
Okay.
But yeah, that's,
Okay, and then the last question, and this is for Brian and or you, is where are we at with the Bonner Morrison agreement to
oh,
get him taken care
I
of?
just sent that off this morning. I got an email back. So after visiting with you, I worked with Brian, changed a couple words in that agreement, and sent it back to
To Bonner.
Bonner.
When did you send it back to him?
Monday. And then he just got that back to me with his signature on it. So the next phase will be is getting the commission's signature on the hold harmless agreement, which would create to where we can pay him what the cost was to do the neighbor's approach.
So did you guys come to an agreement on what that number was?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good, thank you.
Yep.
That's all questions.
So
I
yeah,
have
we
for you.
moved forward, because there was a question on some verbiage on the hold harmless, so we corrected and got that signed.
Okay, great, thank you.
So hopefully that one's completed.
Perfect, thanks. John, you have any questions for Kyle?
And then we got a lot going on with our fleet, and that's why I was gonna have these guys kind of talk about that. Our grooming, we're to kind of information on that. We had them two agreements come before you, and there's some questions brought up on which one was superseded the other and stuff like that. So I have the ones that put this together from the Idaho Departments of Parks and Rec. Brian DeLange is going to come next Thursday. We're going to try to get it on next Thursday so he can answer any of your questions that way. He did, while I was talking to him, say that it is the same agreement. You guys have been doing great. Your reporting's not going to change. Kind of that way, but I told him it'd be good maybe if he came in and answered some of the questions for you, so.
Great.
So that one should be moving forward. We haven't had to do any grooming yet, so we're just in the part of making sure everything's serviced. We've had some problems with that groomer truck. We fixed a part on it and went a little bit to get it serviced and had another part come up, and we're trying to find a cheaper route because it's around $8,000 to fix it, and so we're trying to find a little cheaper route. But we have been having a few problems with that truck.
And we did find a part, it was the ECM, and evidently it's typical for those on that particular model, for those ECMs to go out, and they can go out from just sitting. So you don't necessarily have to be running it when it goes out. And that's, so our mechanics have been fighting, figuring out what it was. We came to that conclusion. We're quoted the $8,000, and then Jason and I did a little research and was able to find one for about $1,000, and then you got to get it programmed. So should be about a $1,500 repair before.
Yeah, it's 1,600 plus 250.
1,800. 15, 18. So-
At least it's better than the $8,000 that we started out with. So they've been doing their diligence to try to get the best price we can for these kind of things. The only other thing I had was mosquito department has been flying the drone. We found some issues with the laptop that controls it that we're gonna have to update, but we are getting that ready so that he'll have some flight time in and on good days and stuff, so we can be ready for spring to fly that. And then fleet stuff.
Real quickly before we go, are we gonna be able to do any weed spraying with that drone? It's not big enough or capable to do that?
It could be, it doesn't have the equipment on it. So if we decide we want to do weed stuff on it, we have to buy a liquid tank and a pump for it, which is something we could do. But
Is that something worth talking to the BLM and Forest Service about to help take care of some of the dire wound problem that's in those areas?
potentially, I think with our new guy flying it, I think it'd be a good idea to keep him in the field for this summer and kind of see how he does before we're flying on hills and obstacles like that, because everything mosquito we fly in, it's all flat, easy flying.
Okay.
But that'll get him some more stick time with it before we, but yeah, eventually our goal would be to like spray the McCammon landfill, Pocatello landfill, some of those hilly areas so we can take care of our stuff too with it. But
Okay.
We are working on that right now. Kathy is with the CWMA to do a flight with a helicopter.
Right.
So they can cover a lot of ground. The one thing that would be nice with a drone or something is the helicopter and some of the stuff we have to stay so many feet away from private land with that, so you could tighten things up a little bit with a drone to get some of the hard to reach spots.
Okay,
So it would be a good tool to use.
okay, thank you.
So with this drone, did I understand you to say you're practicing, your guy is practicing flying it right now?
Yeah, so last summer we got a new employee in that department, and we had the drone, but we were right in the middle of summer, and so we just did stuff with Argo and by hand, and we didn't get a lot of time to work with the drone. So now, as soon as he got to the point where he's not worried about mosquitoes, he got the rest of his licensing to be able to fly it. Got that all completed, and now we're just doing some test flights right around like the landfill and stuff, trying to make sure everything's working correctly and stuff. And then we might even, once we get to that point, there might be somebody we can send him to get a little more training, but so that he'll be ready to go when it starts to warm up.
So he started practicing with like a smaller drone that's about that size, just because it's significantly cheaper than this bigger one. And so we started with that, and then in order for him to fly the bigger drone, you have to have a Part 107, which is a test that you have to take through the FAA to even turn that drone on, just because it's above the 55-pound threshold. So he's got everything he needs as far as legally to fly it, and it's just getting him the time behind the sticks. So. And it's a lot different than the smaller one in the sense that it's all automated. So you just go out, you put a square around on your laptop where it goes, and it'll fly exactly how the computer tells it to. So it's pretty neat. On the fleet stuff, just a couple of things we've been working on. Shanda and I are working on putting the next fuel agreement together that we had signed with Conrad last year. One thing that Jason and I were looking at was possibly looking at going with a higher octane fuel. Right now we have a minimum of 85, and a lot of these newer vehicles and stuff that we're getting are requiring 87 and above. And we kind of wonder if that's where some of those issues with the Durangos was coming from. So
Some of the
I'm
issues
gonna
with
try
what?
to, what's that?
You said some of the issues with,
The Durangos that we have with like lifters and some of the mechanical issues. So I'm trying to get a cost together on, for you guys when we bring the bid to you, on what difference that would be if we just move from 85 to 87 octane, so.
And some of that would consist of working with Christie on what these guys' budgets are if we switched mid-year or first of the year, so we'd have to look at whether we could budget that. But
The other thing we're doing internally with the fuel is typically Public Works is taking care of all the fuel ordering and monitoring and all that. I've been working with Conrad, and they'll actually put monitors on our fuel tanks, and we can put them on like a level fill. If whenever this tank hits 50%, they'll come top us off. By doing that, I think it would, take a little stress or less stress off our parts order, because there's no sense in him doing it if we can have a computer do it, I guess, for us. So that's something we're looking at doing for fuel and our oils.
How many tanks do we have?
So we have 3 at Road and Bridge, 3 in McCammon, the landfill has 1, and then Scott's got 2. So
Are we gonna have to upgrade some tanks? Or are we gonna be okay with the one?
the only one that I'm struggling with finding monitors for is McCammon.
Okay.
Every other thing will be fine, but McCammon's is underground. And so in order to get this, what's the word I'm looking for, monitor, I guess, in there, it's gonna be tough to get it in there, out of the tank, and then have the actual monitor outside, so it'll take signal. I sent out an update yesterday on the fleet that we've ordered. We should start seeing vehicles roll in as soon as just 2 weeks, and then they're kind of spread out on production days, so unfortunately, the commission's equinoxes seem to be last place on there. Their bill date is gonna be
What?
March 3rd. Hey, you're getting your truck first, though.
Oh, okay. You gotta lead with the good stuff.
Yeah.
buddy.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's kind of where we're at on the fleet. The other project that Jason and I have taken on is event center stuff. So there's been a lot of issues with the equipment up there, and what we're gonna try to do is run each piece of equipment 2 at a time through the shop. We're gonna give everything a complete once-over, make sure everything's in good working order. What we can't get to working order, we'll come to you guys and look at maybe auctioning off or whatever that next step may be. But Jason and I's plan was, before it leaves the shop, we'll have Scott or Jake or whoever Scott would like to have come down there, and we'll give them, hey, this is where you check the oil, this is where it needs to be, watch for this type thing.
Question on their equipment, do they have the right equipment? Meaning, are they industrial grade where they need to be and lower grade where they need to be?
A fair amount, like their mowers are the right equipment. One of the tractors is right on the line for the mower that's the pull behind for horsepower wise. It's equal. You should be running about 80% as far as a mower goes or an attachment goes off of a tractor, but it's pushing the 100% mark, but it is right there. As far as their other equipment, yeah, they do have the adequate equipment.
They do, okay.
So,
But yeah, that's about all I had, I guess, for what we're doing. Did you have anything?
yeah, and just trying to keep that equipment up so that we don't run into issues later in the summer and having major failures or anything like that, getting them down on mowers and tractors and that kind of stuff. Just want to keep it up, get it all fixed up when we can, and then hopefully have a lower maintenance or call out on it and get them set up every way we can to have everything ready.
We got a few ideas too, how to tighten up the PMs up there as far as making sure we are on an actual schedule and not missing them. And I don't know if everybody's gonna like what our ideas are, but I think it'll work really good if we can all get on the same page.
We're gonna have to have kind of a procedure or policy of what to do, because a lot of these major costs that are coming around are just from lack of maintenance or no oil, no lubing, greasing, because the shop will repair, anything that needs repaired, but there's still that amount of preventative maintenance of check your oils, check your fluids. Is there grease zerks on there? Is there points that need grease that never get greased? Do they get cleaned ever? And stuff like that. Trying to work up a system that we try to get them before they're complete auction off or new motor or something like that.
Okay. Well, appreciate you trying to keep those guys alive and all the good work you do in the shop. Welcome to the shop.
Thank you.
I know you've been there a little while, but
Yeah,
how are you finding the transition?
pretty good.
Good?
Yeah, a little bit busy, but
A little bit?
a little bit. We got a parts guy I got now, so
Okay,
that'll help a bit. So yeah, it's been good.
good. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're full staffed, and so now it's just that it's a change, and we're doing some bigger changes with the procedure of what goes on in the shop, and to be more efficient in some of the tasks in there, and so got a lot going on in there.
Okay. You any questions, John?
Nope. Thanks for the report.
Okay, thanks, guys. Dan?
Dan Kendall, Facilities Director. I'm here today to ask permission to get gravel from the Virginia pit for the exhibit building project. That lot or that building site has a pretty good slope to it. Within the building, there's 15 inches of slope, and then we got to kind of gradually bring it down to grade on the outside of the building. That Virginia pit is super close to the building site, so to save money for the county rather than the contractor having to buy gravel and haul it from Preston or Pocatello. We can just ask them permission to get the gravel from Virginia and then not billing them for that product or that material.
Kyle?
And like I said, we already have hauled some down there, but we lucked out and found that some of the just pit run, like off of a bank out there, is a material that's working good for what he's needing. So that's not, we haven't processed that material, so we haven't incurred a cost in there. And this would be pretty much for if they need some small amounts of some 3/4 or something to top something, is what we'd be asking to.
Okay. Any concerns, John?
Nope.
Okay. The sheep barn, do we have to fix some of the slope in there as well, or is that?
Yeah, I talked to Alex about that. What material do they want in there, whether it be dirt, gravel, and he hasn't, he wanted to talk to the fair board before he answered that, but it does need just a couple of loads, and then on the west side needs a little bit of a ramp built out of it, because that also has about 15 inches of slope.
Right.
But I think we got pretty close for now, but just waiting to hear back from Alex on what he wants.
Okay.
I would imagine it's gonna be dirt.
Okay. Okay. All right, well, you can go get some gravel then.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Shanda? And Adam?
Morning. Good morning, Commissioners. Shanda Crystal, Chief Procurement Officer, and I am joined today by
Adam McKinney, Chief Technical Officer.
we have a couple items before the board today. The first one I'd like to start with is a potential signature on a contract with Day Wireless Systems. And this is a little unique for the county, as you have already signed a contract for this 911 project with Day Wireless System. The original anticipation was this project was going to be completed in this year. We're using ARPA funds. They were going to get it all wrapped up. It was beautiful. Due to delays in material, that project is now going to dip over into January before we can accept it as complete. So that being hold, our quickest, easiest fix was just to recontract for the exact same project for the exact same dollar amount, but just including the ARPA language in it. And that's what's before the board today. So this is not a new project. This is not additional funding. This is the exact same project, exact same dollar amount. It's just to check mark all those boxes to use that ARPA funding. This will just allow us to do so.
Okay. Brian, you got any issues with this?
I see it's through February 28th, so you're anticipating it'll all be completed by March 1st. We don't have to worry about anything that way.
We should be completed by the end of January. We just wanted to push out to make sure if there's anything else. Scheduling with my Motorola ST people is difficult, so we just want to make sure we have enough time.
Christie, you good with this?
Is that far enough, or do we want to do a little bit farther out?
I think March 1st should be good. We're at 95%. There's only one hop left to do. We're just waiting on getting scheduling for it. So we're very, very close.
Okay.
Okay.
So
John?
you got no concerns?
No, we need this so that we can spend the money next year.
Yeah. All right, no, I got no concerns.
Okay, then I would move that we approve the contract with Day Wireless as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
The next item I have before the board is a potential signature on a contract with 21st Century Remodeling. This was not required to go out to bid. It is to redo the deputy stations out at the jail. But again, one of those things that we wanted to check mark all the boxes to use ARPA funding. So we put this out for contract. It has been signed by 21st Century, and I would recommend that the board sign the contract with 21st Century Remodeling for a total of $38,178.60.
Same thing, Brian, Christie, any issues?
You're going to have a handful of these come before you over the next couple of weeks. This is what I need to show obligations.
Okay, just want to make sure that we're
Yep,
checking the appropriate
we should be
boxes. Okay, John, you have anything?
Nope.
Okay, I move that we approve the contract with 21st Century Remodeling as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And the last I have before the board is a procurement update. The rumors are true. There is life after ARPA. So those first couple projects on your dashboard are those. I met with Jason Dye earlier this week to talk about drug testing services. Last year, we went out to bid for these services and entered into a 3-year contract, but that contract is no longer going to be able to service Bannock County. There's been some adjustments made, and so we are talking about, Jason's working through the process of canceling that contract, and we'll go out to bid for services on that. We begin the draft process and anticipate awarding somewhere probably in the March 1st would be when the services plan to flip over on that one. The next one for Public Works, Buddy mentioned that bulk fuel. Again, we went out to bid last year for an entire year's worth of services, and we met with Buddy to talk about how that was working. They have loved, right, the efficiencies they found of not having to bid every few weeks to get these products that we know we're going to need, that we just awarded to a single contractor. And that is working really well for them. So this one, right, we talked about doing things, we learned things over this last year, which is always great. So we'll make a few adjustments. We're waiting to hear back, right, on a few specs from Road and Bridge, but that one is moving forward. And we anticipate having a contract again in place for April 1st is where that one will roll over. And we are looking at going for a 3-year contract this time. If you jump down to the bottom for the detention center, the diesel generator, that one we had been working on revising from looking for the manufacturer to supply the different services that we needed to install that generator. We're going to flip that and look for a general contractor that then is going to take on the ability of scheduling all the different pieces that we need, as well as service or getting that materials for the generator. Those should be finalized this week, and I should have an addendum out today notifying those changes. We have had a couple contractors reach out to us already, so we're excited, and that as this one gets moving, how it'll move forward. Back into the ARPA land, just talking about a couple of things. One is the YDC building. That one we had the project superintendent and Daniel on project site earlier this week to discuss logistics and different things about the project. And that one looks to be on schedule. Excavation should start that first full week of January on that project. And then just in general, we are using this time, Nancy and Christy have been so generous with their time to help me do kind of a document review for the ARPA stuff, and just making sure again, right, that all of our T's are crossed and our I's are dotted to the best of our ability. And we are wrapping up just the tail end of those and should have everything way closer to the end of December than I wanted to. But either way, we're going to make that deadline. So if there's any questions.
Where are we at with the landfill? I don't see that on your list here anywhere.
It is not on my list, as they are still in drafting. So, right, we awarded that to the engineer to draft up. They had a couple projects for the board. As far as I remember, the board picked up a couple months ago. Okay, I thought so. And then they were just working on drafting up 100% of that. That will eventually come back to be bid out through the county. But I was going to check with Dylan to see where we were on timing of that, but it's in drafting stage at this point.
Okay. John, any other questions?
Nope.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
And I believe that brings us to the end.